One of the most useful end papers is the made end paper, or as Arthur Johnson calls it, the common made end paper, which is example number 7 in the Thames and Hudson book of bookbinding if you're playing end paper bingo. Each end paper will require 1 folio of coloured paper and 2 of white paper to match the text block. The made end paper is particularly good at hiding the reverse side of decorative paper such as marbled paper, and also for using thin decorative or coloured paper for the end paper, as the one sheet will be pasted down so it doesn't need to be that strong, and the other will be laminated with one of the whites to make it stronger. To start with, you start by folding the folios, so 1 colour for each end paper and 2 whites. If you're using a decorative paper that's not symmetric, make sure that you get the pattern the same way up at the front and the back. We'll start by gluing a white to a colour. We'll use a mix of 50-50 PVA and paste. Apply the adhesive to the white. When it dries, it will curl inwards and hug the book. Pitch the folds as carefully as possible to get them as well aligned. There's nothing worse than opening up the press the next day and finding that you've pitched a fold to the foredge or that they're poorly aligned. Put some blotting paper either side of the made paper and put it between pressing boards and put it in the press while you make the second one. Make the second end paper exactly the same way. Leave the end papers in the press overnight to dry. Now that they're dry, you'll notice that the made paper bends towards the white, which will be the text block. The next step is to tip on the second white. You do that on the white side. A 3mm strip of PVA on each folio of white. Use one folio to guard the other and then a piece of waste to guard the top one. And then again pitch the folds to the folds of the end paper. Put the end papers between some pressing boards to let the adhesive dry. The best way to attach the made end paper is to sew them on. Get a thin piece of card and mark the sewing locations and the kettle stitch locations. Before punching the holes for the sewing, fold the outer white around to the outside of the colour. This will become the waste sheet. Do that for each end paper. Mark the front and the back and the waste sheets. And the sewing will be between the made end paper and first full white. So use the template that you've made to punch the holes, being very careful not to go through the coloured sheet. I usually move the template just a fraction away from the fold and use the awl at a higher angle than I normally do when I'm punching holes to avoid punching into the coloured sheet. Sewing the end papers on is similar to sewing all the other sections. One difference is it's best to sew around the tape. This will give a continuous line of thread on the inside of the fold of the end paper, and it'll grip the tape well to stop the end papers sliding along the tape. So at this point, instead of going onto the second tape, I go around the first tape. Having sewn around the first tape, move along to the second tape and again sew around that tape. Finish with the double kettle stitch. When you sew the text block, make sure you leave enough thread to sew on the end paper. 2 lengths of the book is a safe amount. I was a little bit short here and I was just able to sew on the end paper. I may have had to add some thread if I'd been really short. The marks on your template will be on the wrong side for the second end paper, so either just transfer them off the book or just put the template up to the light and transfer them directly through the template. The final step is to tip on the end papers, so open them up and to between the first section and the end paper. Here you can see the continuous line of thread. So open it up between the first section and the end paper using a piece of waste. Put a 3mm strip of PVA on the first section, and then when you draw over the end paper, make sure it's aligned with the text block. Turn the book over and do the other side. And if you haven't already done it, tip on the first and second sections as well. Put a pressing board on top of the text block and put a bit of weight on it to let the adhesive set. The made end paper is an attractive and strong end paper technique. Hopefully you're happy with the result.